Hello beautiful people, welcome to Kate Space. I'm Kate from Pixie Designs and this is my channel for sharing my crafty makes and things, and I have a flip through of 2 journals for you today. If you're new, thanks so much for joining us and I hope you'll enjoy this. I have been working on these for a while. They are basically a couple of neutral journals and these are strongly inspired by Suzy from Shabby Soul, and I will link her below. The other influence of these journals, I did the closures, and these are inspired by Dody, Dorothy Jane 2 and Lace Girl 130, so I'll link her below too. She makes these beautiful journals and she has these gorgeous closures with the bulldog clips, and I decided I would like to try that with these because I didn't want to put anything else on the front. So these are made from very old 1800s books, the fronts and the backs. I've taken the spines out and they have a very soft fabric spine which the 3 signatures are stitched into. This one has antique music paper which I have used matte medium to protect it, and this one has a digital from Ruby and Pearl which has been printed onto a linen linen paper. They have antique lace on the front with these antique buttons and these Tim Holtz flowers. So basically the same. The spines are made with different linens and laces and fabrics. And yeah, so they're hidden spines. They have 3 signatures. This one has 84 pages, this one has 88. And they measure 22 centimeters by 14 centimeters, and the spines are about 5 centimeters. For some reason this one just turned out a lot fatter. On the closure they both have an antique key. So I'll try and quickly go through them as best I can. All the laces are vintage, if not antique. There are with a few contemporary laces in as well, but I would be surprised if anything in here is not vintage. And same with most of the papers, and I've used digitals from Ruby and Pearl, Amity Bloom and Sam Paul, and there's a couple of photos in here that are from Rhonda from A Little Bit French. So I've embossed this card. This photo here is from my collection. It's a copy and I have aged it a little bit and it does come out. If you've got the angle right. And yeah, I've put some tea-dye paper on the back and done some stamping. This is from the book 1831, or from one of the books. I had several. I had quite a lot of these, but I loved it. So I've strengthened this paper, it's rag paper, and then placed it over. This is an Amity Bloom digital. This is a beautiful antique lace. It's really soft with a rusty pin in here to decorate this page. This is my wedding dress fabric, or some of it, my wedding dress fabric, so that's vintage, and this is vintage as well. I've got a rusty clip here holding this antique ledger paper. This is a repurposed, like a typing type paper. An antique book page from France. This is postage stamp album paper with this lovely ruffle down here. So this is sari silk ribbon. I've cut out some of these pictures from my girl's own paper from the 1800s. This flips up to reveal coffee dyed, sort of like a sketchbook paper, so a heavy paper. Another one of the antique book pages. A vintage book page with, I've done some stamping on there. And that. This opens out to some 1800s ephemera from New Zealand, from Dunedin, from a millinery and dressmaking shop, and a piece of paper from one of the books from 1861 with an inscription in it. Some vintage lace with a pocket here. This is a vintage pin curl clip with a card that I have made. This beautiful embossing on the bottom. A little page edge here made with vintage linen and vintage trim. A fussy cut from a very old 1800s book, and some texture paste. And the manuscript, music manuscript, which I've coffee dyed. a lovely fabric pocket with some little bits and pieces, a lovely scrap paper pad made with largely vintage papers, all neutral. A couple little tags that I've made. This is a digital, and a digital envelope from Sample with some stamps. Here's one of the little photos from Rhonda at A Little Bit French, and there's a little cute piece of notepaper, coffee dyed notepaper in here. It's my favourite page. Some coffee dyed paper with some stencil, with a stencil over it, a vocab card with some old lace, a tuck spot with a beautiful journaling card in it, with some coffee dyed paper on the back, a little tuck spot up here, a fussy cut from an 1800s book and some collaging on these pages. A very old piece of lace that makes this pocket, and this is from a Century magazine from the 1800s, just this lovely advertising that I thought I would enclose. This was made following Rachel from Roxy Creations, and here is a piece of New Zealand ephemera from 1947. A piece from the Girls' Own paper, which is absolutely beautiful, and a bride cut out from the Girls' Own paper. This is a wraparound piece inspired by Heather from Rose Hill Paper Cottage. It's got some old lace on this side. I've used antique book page to make this tuck spot. More antique book page here with a fussy cut flower from Ruby and Pearl, and another antique book page rag paper from a French book, and some beautiful old lace on here, one of my favourite pieces, and some embossed paper there as well. And these lovely old buttons, I'm not sure what they are. They could be like for cuffs or maybe for boots, but they're really, really lovely. I love those. A little hidden spot here for writing or tucking something into. I've got a video on making those, which I'll link below, and it should come up on your screen about now if you want to go and have a look at that. Some beautiful embossing here, but I don't know if you can actually see it on this paper, but it actually looks gorgeous in its roses, which matches the title, and you can tuck something up in here. Gorgeous texture paste. An old vintage envelope with a fussy cut and decorated with some wedding dress fabric from Tracy J Designs. Some lace decorating this page. A little dangly lace piece that's crimped at the top. This piece of lace here is very old and has the original label still attached to it. Some stamping, that's my favourite stamp, and that lifts up and obviously can come off because it's just tied on with some ribbon. Some old French rag paper. An old envelope with some New Zealand ephemera inside, and one of my library cards, and a beautiful fussy cut from a book from the 1800s. A button card that I've created using a Sample digital. Some more of that beautiful vintage lace on the antique ledger. Another piece of New Zealand ephemera from 1948. And a French postcard tucked up into this beautiful embossed piece of handmade paper. One of my very old antique music book covers, which I've backed with some paper to strengthen it. I've stitched up where they had originally stitched the book back together, just as a little, I don't know, it looks really cool. And in here is a little notebook that I've made out of generally repurposed and antique pages that can be taken apart. Another photo from Rhonda, and yeah, these are just really cute little accessories. I've used my embossing stamp up here, my vintage embossing stamp, but again it's difficult to see those things on the film. A handmade journal card with some coffee dyed paper on the back, this very old millinery flower, and some a rusty safety pin. An old postcard and a chandelier, glass chandelier crystal on that safe paper clip. This is inspired by Shabby Soul as well. 2 pieces of doily and an old safety pin and some seam binding on this piece of rag paper. And that is the end of the book. The book writing board is made for some very heavy card, and I've used a very old 1800s piece of music book cover. Love the stamping on here, and a Amity Bloom digital on the back. I've wrapped it round so there's a little tuck spot here and an old stamp. And again, the end paper or end back inside cover is using some very old music paper as well. So that's number 1. And number 2 is much the same, so I'm just going to pop this to music. This has more pages and is a bit more bulky. It has a bigger antique key on here, but it's largely the same with just some different pages and different papers I've used inside. So these are my two journals, my two romantic neutral journals, which I am so happy with how they turned out. They're a real kind of shabby, loose sort of style. There's still plenty of room to be added more, to be written in, drawn in, add photos, decorate as anyone would wish. So yeah, and I really have tried to use some of my most favorite laces, fabrics, papers, and little trinkets in these. And I just really hope that you like them. The writing boards are just in case someone purchases and would like to write in them. It just provides a really lovely firm surface. Yeah, I'd really like to know what you think about this style. I'm going to be making something a lot more colourful next, so hopefully that will be ready soon. I really appreciate you watching to the end, and thanks so much for all your support. These will be up in my Etsy shop, and hopefully they will find a home in the near future. Thanks again, everybody. I really appreciate you, and I'll see you again soon in the next video. Bye.